One question that we get fairly often is, why do I have so many contacts in Marketing Cloud? When you sign a contract with Salesforce for Salesforce Marketing Cloud services, you are contracted to a certain number of records within Marketing Cloud. But finding out how many records you have and where those are coming from can be a little frustrating and a little bit tricky. So, to start with, if we were to go into Email Studio and look at our all subscribers list, in this case, I'm in a demo org, so there's only 4 subscribers on my all subscribers list, a very small number. However, this is not the number that is going to go toward my billing with Salesforce. To find out how many contacts you are actually being billed for from Salesforce, your billable contact count, what you need to do is go into Audience Builder and then click on Contact Builder. And once you're in here, you can click on All Contacts. And if we click on All Contacts again, I will see I have this number 55 here, and then down at the bottom of the page, it also says I have 55 items. So even though I only have 4 records on my all subscribers list, I'm being charged for 55 records. So where are those other records coming from? One of the first things to understand is on your all subscribers list, it does not matter what the status is of a record. If it is active, if it's unsubscribed, if it is a bad email and it's undeliverable, all of those count toward that billable contracted count. What else counts toward that? If you happen to have a data extension that you are using as a suppression in Ascend, you are not sending to it, so those records may not even be on your all subscribers list, but it is a data extension that you're using to suppress records from Ascend. Any records in that data extension will count as well. Now, note that I mentioned using a suppression list. That is because if you have a data extension that you create and you are using that to send to, the records within that data extension will not go onto your all subscribers list until you have sent to them at least once. And the records in that data extension may not count toward your contracted billable number either. So let's look at some of the other ways you will have records that will count toward that overall all contacts count. If we go back into Audience Builder and Contact Builder, if you are using Marketing Cloud and you are integrated with a Salesforce instance, Health Cloud or Sales Cloud or something like that, when you complete that synchronization between your Salesforce CRM and Marketing Cloud, you will synchronize those different objects from Sales Cloud. In this case, I can see that I have 0 contacts, 22 leads, and 9 users synchronized between Marketing Cloud and Sales Cloud. I'm not sure why this says 0 because I know that there are supposed to be some records there. But the key thing here is that these 3 objects, any records that you have in these, whenever you synchronize to Marketing Cloud, by default, these will be added to that billable contact count. So if you are over your billable contact count, what are some ways that you can go about reducing the number of records that you are being contracted for? If you are in a position where you need to reduce the number of billable contacts that you have in Marketing Cloud, there's a couple of things that you can start with to help you with that. If we go back into Email Studio and look at our all subscribers list again, if we click on the Tracking tab, it will show you the disposition of all the records on your all subscribers list. In this case, all of mine are active. I only have 4 records on there. However, you likely have records in each of these categories. Your active records are those that you can mail to. There's no issues with them. They're not bounced. There's no problems there. Your bounced records are ones that the last time that Marketing Cloud attempted to send to them, they received a bounce. It may have been a hard bounce, it may have been a soft bounce. Um, they have not bounced out terminally yet, but Marketing Cloud is going to continue to try to send to them for a certain number of times over a certain number of days. And if the email goes through, those records will turn back to active. If the email continues to bounce, then those records will become what is known as undeliverable. These are basically records that Marketing Cloud has tried a number of times to send to and has not had any success. At this point, Marketing Cloud says, I'm not going to continue to send to this address. I know that this is a bad address. This is an undeliverable contact. And then, of course, you have those who are unsubscribed. You want to make sure that you keep those in there so that you know that those are unsubscribed. Maybe in the future, they might resubscribe. So you don't want to do anything with those. However, your undeliverables, you can take those out of Marketing Cloud through a contact delete process. And then what I always recommend is that you create a field in Salesforce and you flag these records in Salesforce. That way, you know, this is a record. It used to be in Marketing Cloud. Marketing Cloud has said that it is a bad record. It's unable to deliver to it. And then as your sales team, whoever it is that is working in Salesforce, as they see those records, they'll see that flag that we don't have a good email address for them. They can update that in Salesforce, and then that can be added back to Marketing Cloud through your sync. The other thing that you can do is if we go back into our contact builder, whenever you sync objects, the default behavior is that it is going to sync all the records in that object into Marketing Cloud. So if we look at our synchronized objects, we can see here, let's look at our leads. So we can see here that it says all records with an email address. That is set up that way because that is what I specified in the sync for the lead object. By default, that setting is going to be all records. So you have that control here. You can say, I don't want all records to sync. I only want records with an email address to sync. Or you do have a couple of other options. So maybe records that have only been created since a specific date. And this last one here is one that I am very fond of. You can create a field in Salesforce that will specify which of your records should get synced to Marketing Cloud. So maybe you have 10,000 records and they all have an email address, but you only want to send emails to 5,000 of those in Marketing Cloud. You can create a field in Sales Cloud, just have it be a Boolean yes or no, set up the criteria for that field that only records that meet this particular criteria are going to be flagged, and then you can use that field as a flag in Marketing Cloud. This acts kind of as a gate so that only the records that you want to have synced to Marketing Cloud are going to be synced to Marketing Cloud. And you can do that with any of your objects. One thing to keep in mind, though, is if you are doing a contact delete process, or if you are changing your synchronization for any of your objects, be sure that you go in and pause the sync. So I'm going to pause this for my contacts. I'm going to pause this for my leads. It is actively syncing, so it's not going to let me. Let's do that for users, and then we'll go back to leads. I'm going to pause the sync for my users. And then I would do the same thing for leads. I would pause this, and then you'll do whatever you need to do, whether that is going through a contact delete process, if you want to remove any of those undeliverable emails, or if you want to change how this sync is set up between these objects and Sales Cloud. So, those are a couple of different ways that you can better manage how many contacts you have in Marketing Cloud and try to stay under that total billable amount. Of course, if you do need all of those records in there, you can always reach out to your Salesforce account executive to increase the number of contacts in your contract, and that will work that same way for you as well.